Welcome to another Sunday afternoon in the fresh new year of 2021. It is us, three of the four CGN crew. That's okay, we don't need Josh. We never needed Josh. We don't actually need Josh. He's just around sometimes. I don't think he even hobbies anymore, guys.
He painted like 50 some Marvel things in the past year,
Uh,
supposedly.
that's
I don't
hearsay.
believe it
That's
because
It
hearsay.
was
I think it
it
was
was
more like 10.
also
I think it was like 10.
It was
also
like 10.
Tuesday from last year.
Yeah, it was like last year or 2 weeks ago, but it feels like it was longer. Right?
Yes, it does.
Doesn't it feel like it was
Yeah.
longer?
Well, what we all just forgot was that January is actually a 13th month. 2021 starts in February.
Oh,
So we
okay.
yeah, just
Fuck.
got to
I mean,
get through one more month of 2020. We'll be good.
well, as always, I am joined by Big Aaron and Lord Sean. Oh, it's so
Yes,
fun to get to
yes.
call you a lord. It's so.
I'm outnumbered lords here
Yeah, it's two lords to none.
to none. Yeah.
Two lords to none. You don't
I
even.
don't
You don't
possess
even.
any land in Scotland.
You don't even count for
Oh,
anything.
for nothing.
I mean,
I live in an apartment.
I'm sure you've gotten some title in uh, Cyberpunk, right?
Um, no,
No? Okay, all right. Thought maybe
I got no title. I got
thought
nothing.
I thought maybe you had a title in Cyberpunk. That's okay. So, we have a bunch of stuff to talk about. We can talk about our New Year's resolutions or not resolutions. We can talk about the projects that we finished in 2020. We can talk about what we want to work on in 2021. We have some GW stuff coming up. As always, let's start off with what we have on the table. I am cranking out crystals like no one's business.
Cranking out crystals. That
Yeah.
sounds a little dangerous.
Yeah, it sound. I was participating in someone else's live stream earlier, who is a hobbyer, and they're like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Cutting crystals." And somebody was like, "You probably shouldn't say that live on a feed that the government is watching." And I was
Yep.
like, "No, no, no. There's styrofoam. There's styrofoam." But anyways, my goal for tonight is to paint the crystals white, and once the crystal, if I get that done early, then I can start inserting the walkways and glass beads into the bases. The bases. So yeah, that's what I'm doing, and I spent 20 minutes mixing my white craft paint, so that was fun. Sean, what
That's
are
a
you
long
doing?
time.
It was
Yeah.
very. It was very. It's very old craft paint for one, and it was very not well mixed.
I'm working on my Angels of Terra. I have a bunch more dudes that are coming along. I think I've got, I don't know, 10 on my desk right now that I'm just trying to put the next couple layers of paint on.
What
And
what's an Angel of Terra? Oh right, that's your custom Dark Angels faction.
correct.
Right.
So,
Right.
like, I have my super cool, this is my guy that I'm playing.
I feel like if I were to be inserted into Battlestar Galactica and I was given a wing, a fighter wing, I would call it Angels of Terra.
Really?
It is.
Yeah.
It is
Pretty good
nice. It's a good name. It's a good name, and it fits and it's super fluffy, and that's my whole reason for painting and playing this game is fluffy stuff.
I mean,
So
I guess it'd have to
grab
be
it.
I guess it'd have to be Angels of Caprica, but whatever. We don't need to get technical on as to what planet they're on.
I think it
I'm
also
starting
depends
with
on
this.
when. Yeah, I think it depends on when you're.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert: if you haven't seen Battlestar Galactica, sorry, too late. Aaron, have you seen Battlestar Galactica?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Multiple times.
I just want to say that at the end of Battlestar Galactica, if I was one of the final survivors, Cylon or not Cylon, I would have stayed on the ships when they sent them off into the sun and then reprogrammed to go somewhere else because I was not on board with the whole abandonment. I would have just been like some dude who was a stowaway who was like, "Well, I guess the fleet is mine."
Right?
I like fleets.
I always wanted to be captain.
I will just take this fleet elsewhere, because in the
But you would be the whole reason why the cycle didn't actually restart.
right, I would save it, but in the like
Save.
Okay. So in the original BSG show, they took a Star Trek approach. I don't know if you recall, and it's like everywhere they went, there were already people. Like, do you remember that? Like, they would go places and there were settlements and stuff.
So I did watch it, but I do not remember.
Yeah.
it.
So it was like a Star Trek thing where
Yeah.
there weren't a whole lot of alien races that I recall, but it's like they jumped to another system and there were already colonists out there and there were humans and obviously Cylons and whatnot. So it never felt like desolate new space the way that they did it, which is appropriate. But if we go by that original mantra, then I would have taken the fleet and gone back and like picked up and found other people. And like, I'm sorry, I want the fleet.
Yeah, it sounds like you're just more about not really caring about the humanity aspect and more about just having a giant starship. Yes.
Well, yeah,
Let's be
and
real, yeah.
said technology and benefits that go along
Yes,
with
yes.
with Starship. Like what do they do? Cut to 3 months later, where half the people are dead from infections. Like what? Like I don't understand.
The answer is yes.
Yes,
Probably.
Captain Adama died 24 hours later after stepping on, getting cut, and then touching mud.
Oh, what a classic
Well
way to
played.
go. Touching mud.
Touching mud.
The number of times I've had to go to the ER in my life because I touched mud.
It's a lot. There's a lot of pathogens in mud. Yeah, so Angels of Terra. It's a good name. You're working on that. Big Aaron, what you doing? What you working on?
Taking a little break from painting the last of the Necrons to work on this kind of like this fun little word bearers army. I'm working on a chaplain, but it's a chaplain that you can give a warlord trait to make them possessed and a demon.
So
And then you can also
it's everything that Sean hates. It's like the anti-chaplain.
yes, it is the anti because it's a dark apostle, which is truly the anti-chaplains. And so he can turn into a possessed demon, and you can give him a really badass black mace or a Crozius. They're both really, really good. So yeah, I'm converting from one of the greater possessed that came out not too long ago. And I think it's going to be pretty cool, pretty fun. I got a cool flaming backpack to also keep the chaplain-y sort of theme.
Pretty
Going.
excited about that, actually.
Yeah.
So I this might be a bad idea,
Oh.
but Sean and I got into a little bit of a tiff
Oh no.
earlier, and I've been thinking about it, and I want to bring it up again.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
So-
shit.
Gonna rehash some shit right now.
I'm gonna rehash some shit. So most everybody knows that I'm not a huge 40K fluffer.
Yeah, you don't really fluff the 40K.
But I do like like it's not like I don't like fluff or stories, and so obviously I watched Mandalorian season 2, which we're not going to talk about because apparently some people still haven't seen it. Which,
A lot of people still have not seen it.
which is just whatever. We're not going to talk about it. After I watched Mandalorian season 2, and really after I rewatched Mandalorian season 1, I went and I watched, I finished the Clone Wars with season 8, and then I watched Rebels, and I didn't, and the director of Rebels is also the director of Mandalorian.
Conspiracy.
What? I mean, is
Yep.
that a conspiracy?
Yeah, pretty certain.
Okay. Sure. David Fillion. That's his name. And there's a lot of tie-ins. A lot of tie-ins and stuff. In fact, there's a lot of stuff out of The Mandalorian, like just straight up episodes that are just better versions of episodes that were made in Rebels. But anyways, I noticed that, there's a whole thing with Guerrera in Rebels. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to watch Rogue
Who is
One.
Guerrera?
Guerrera, so in Rogue One, Guerrera in 1998 in Rogue One threw the Undertaker into his cell, into the Spanish announcer's table, and he wound up on Jeddah, and he was the rebel that they needed to go talk to, right? Played by Forrest Whitaker.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Right. So Guerrera is in Clone Wars. He starts out in Clone Wars. He's trained by Ahsoka. He loses his sister. He goes a little bit bananas.
He was trained by Ahsoka.
Yes, he was trained by Ahsoka and by the not just Ahsoka, but also by the 5 cloney people, Anakin and the Mandalorians, on how to fight in order to protect their planet. Anyways, so he represents like the crazy, like we're gonna blow people up, like he's the crazy part of the rebellion that the rebels don't want to talk to. Anyways, blah 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 blah. At the beginning of Rogue One, you see Ghost, which is the ship from the Clone Wars, parked at Yavin 4 at the Rebel base, which I thought was really, really awesome that they maintained the integrity from the Mandalorian through Rebels, through like they've maintained the timeline and the integrity, and they even throw in these Easter eggs, right? You know.
So is everything continuity now?
Yeah. And that's mostly David Fillion. It's mostly David Fillion, who makes sure of that continuity. So anyways, I told Sean about it, and Sean was like, well, why don't you care about 40K lore the way that you care about Star Wars lore? And my first response was, well, you know, give me some 40K movies and not a billion books and a couple TV shows, and I'll watch that, and I will tell you, right? And of course that was not a very good argument, I admit.
Right, because we all know how many of those there are.
Right, which there's none. But I did go afterwards, and I did look at some stuff on YouTube, and I can tell you why 40K Fluff is less interesting to me.
Okay.
It feels to me like every time I start getting into 40K Fluff, that everything about 40K is on crack or on steroids and is always the most powerful, the most crazy, the most terrible, the most everything. Right? Like,
yes.
You can't, like, psychers will destroy Jedis because they have the most crazy psychic powers. And stormtroopers, you know what I mean? Just like everything in the 40K universe is just...
Yeah, there's like 5 different space marine like squads or units or whatever that are the best in the galaxy, right?
Right, and they can destroy entire armies. And that is what puts me off. Not only the derivativeness, which is fine. Like, I'm fine with derivativeness. That's okay. But it's more of just like, oh yeah, well, you think Jedis and lightsabers are cool? Well, power swords are 10 times more powerful. And so you can't even compare them and you can't even talk about them. So I watched Mando versus Primaris Space Marine. Which is this guy.
Oh man, this is gonna be good.
It's this guy who sets up these videos. He gets hundreds of thousands of views. Sets up these videos where he compares like what would happen if Luke Skywalker fights a psyker, right? And of course, in his thing, like he uses the Primaris from the books and not the Primaris from the games, and like the Mandalorian just gets destroyed. And it's I just realized it's like my objection is to this ultimate, like everything is the most powerful. Does that make sense as to why it doesn't intrigue me as much? Or
yeah.
No? Or no?
Yes, I can understand that. I think that once you get past that general kind of generalization of the universe, which is actually, it's accurate because everything is like the worst and everything is going to be the biggest battle that kills a planet or whatever. But there are a lot of great unique character stories too. Like if you read like the Gaunt's Ghosts or
I mean, I guess technically it's all relative because if everything is always the most powerful, then you know what I mean. They have to have a rival of equivalency. Escalation. I just feel like the problem is that it makes other franchises that are not 40K, like you can't even have conversations with people who are into 40K lore about them because you're like, oh yeah, Jedis are. What stats would you give a Jedi? Oh, they'd be all ones. Like they're just normal humans, with one psychic power a turn.
3 up tough.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I don't agree with that. And it bothers me. Like, oh, well, who would win in a fight? Like the Death Star or Space Marines? Oh, well, every single Space Marine ship contains the ability to destroy an entire planet, so, obviously the Empire is meaningless. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
That's true. That's
Cool. So if every single ship in 40K contains the ability to just destroy every single planet, then why are you even going on planets and engaging things? I don't understand. Why do you need stories? Just obliterate everything.
Well, what if you want the resources?
You don't need it because you have it. You have an infinite universe of planets to get infinite resources.
Oh.
You don't need. What do you need? You don't need to worry about that planet that has a Necron hive on it. You just obliterate it.
Well, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, if there's a Necron hive world.
No, but I mean the reality of exterminatus a planet is not that straightforward.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot of paperwork involved.
There's a lot of
so much
paperwork. It's always the paper.
there's-
It's always the paperwork.
There's many reasons you would not want to destroy a planet. Not every spaceship carries the means to destroy a planet. Anything that you read about in a book probably does because they're focused on a capital ship somewhere, whatever.
I'm just trying. I'm not. I don't mean to get into the specifics. I'm just telling you what when I dip my toes into the lore conversation, what puts me off about joining that group. That's all. That's all I'm explaining.
I totally gotcha. And the books that I've found that are the lore that I've found, that is the things that I like the most, are not like the core series of books and those kind of things. Like I like the little movies that people make, people's stories about their armies and their characters and those kind of things, really makes me excited about the fluff.
Well, and the other thing that bothers me is that the fluff and the game don't align. Like that's the other.
There's no question about that.
That's the other thing that really bothers me, because like a Terminator, a 1/6 chance to die is a high probability, even if you're just getting shot by a bolt gun, which is assumably the equivalent of a random standard round, right? 1/6 chance to die is very different from virtually immortal. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
It's yeah. And I find the power level of the units in the game more interesting than the power level in the lore. Is kind of how I feel about it. But
no, and I totally can see and respect that and appreciate it. And I mean, yes, you are correct.
So we're not really hashing an argument. I'm just giving you a better explanation than, oh, they don't have a movie.
Okay, good, because that's what it sounded like when you started.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
That was the heart of my original argument with you. It's mostly like, oh, just make a movie and I'll watch it. Which is still true, I would.
Yeah. I mean, you would.
Yeah, for sure. And then I would tell you about the logical inconsistencies or consistencies between them if they did make it. Why would I not? Why would I not?
Also,
that conversation.
The fluff also has this really fun kind of absorptive kind of quality, I guess. And what that means is like many people will be like, oh, the very first 40K movie ever is Event Horizon.
Right. Josh,
like,
mostly. But yeah.
Yeah. But, so it's fun because you get these extra little things that there is like 100% in my mind canon. That's fucking what happened.
Yeah, but it's also the plot. It's also the plot to Doom, right?
Well, yeah.
Event Horizon and Doom are the same situation.
Kind of
similar premise.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's all about opening the door to hell, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you're just saying that the hell is the warp.
Exactly.
So you can really do lots of fun things with stealing all the other media and making it 40K media.
But now that we've spent a lot of time talking about lore and whatnot, let's talk about the game, specifically the app. And Sean, you've spent some time with the app, so talk to us about it. First of all, there's if you haven't seen, there's Battle Forge, which is the app, and they have a new release of it, a new beta, and they're looking for people to use it. And if you use it and follow whatever all this stuff is that you have to do, you have an opportunity to win various different armies by using the app and giving them feedback. So use the app and then export and share your list with hashtag 40K Battleforge to Instagram or Twitter, and you can win 2 different
A dream
armies?
army.
2 different armies? 3 different armies? I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, apparently 5 different armies. But let's actually talk about the app and Sean's use of it.
So, as everybody who pays attention to stuff knows, the app is a subscription service.
How much is it per month?
I want to say $4.99, but I could be totally wrong on that.
American dollars.
American dollars. Yep. So there's that piece which a lot of people rail against to start with, right? There are. So it works. The original lists that I created when I first downloaded the app and was playing around with it have disappeared. So that's a bad thing, obviously. I'm hoping that was some sort of restructuring from their side. But yeah so I'm on new lists, right? So that's just a thing there. So if you want like your list, you try to mentally record that shit because it might just disappear randomly. It's cool. The interface is relatively easy once you get used to it with the swiping and the clicking on things. It has no copying or saving features for like your particular type of squad. So like in Battle Scribe, I would take the loadouts that I liked from my squads who had a specific kind of character, or like Sergeant whatever. Like there's a squad called Hekaton, and every time that I use that, I know exactly what's in it, how many guys, blah blah blah.
Right.
None of that type of stuff. You can't, kit out a Fire Warriors team and then just click on it and duplicate it. You have to add a new entry and make all the modifications to the squad just like you did with the previous one. So that's a little bit frustrating, especially when you're doing like MSU and stuff like that. So, insofar as the structure of building your detachments, it seems to do a pretty good job of understanding all those weird ass rules and how everything interlocks, so you really don't have to think about how that works at all. But there's some stuff that's not in there, like the legends. I have no idea how you add a legend to a list.
What's a legend? I'm sorry.
Like one of these legend character things,
One of the characters that are no longer in the game.
Yes.
Okay.
So that it no longer gets printed. They get set rules.
Is it legacy or legend?
I thought it was legend, but it could be legacy. Legacy would make more sense, so it's
Okay.
probably legend.
Fair.
Or just
True.
But so it has a lot of capability. It is much better than it was when it first released. So they are definitely making.
What specifically has changed?
So the biggest issue that I had originally was units not being available to be selected, like they weren't in the list they were supposed to be in, or missing options in the ways of war gear.
So now nothing's missing, everything's there.
Oh no, it still happens. It's just more infrequent.
Okay.
So is still the problem is still there. So it's still nowhere near being ready. It should not have ever been released to us.
Well, good news is they extended the free trial, so you can keep using the beta, the better beta as they call it.
Better
Okay.
beta.
Well, that's cool. I don't know if my subscription has like rolled over on it or anything like that. I honestly don't pay attention to any of that.
What happened is that they just put the two into a fish tank and then they let them fight each other. and one of them came out on top, and then they called that one the better beta.
The new one.
Oh my god, that was a long walk.
It was. It was. But it's a good app, but it's not finished. It's not something that you could take and say, hey, this is my list. It's got absolutely everything I need. I know it's correct. I've got all my things selected. You still have to have a knowledge of your army outside of the game to say, hey, this unit doesn't have fusion blasters on my list, but it's got fusion blasters, right?
How do you can you print from it?
I haven't tried. I haven't gamed it all, so I haven't.
Well, you
even
can export it, right?
I believe so.
Well,
again,
they said to export it, right, and share it.
Yeah, so if you can export it as like an HTML, you can print it, no problem.
So can you go into that and make an army from any army, or do you have to buy and pay for your specific books and armies?
That's a very good question. So you get a code in the back of any of your codexes that you purchase. I believe you get one with a digital codex or book, but I'm not sure because I haven't bought any of this edition. You go to the app and type in your code. No, you don't go to the app. You don't go to the app. You have to go to the Warhammer community website, log into your app account, and then put your little code in there. And that gives you, well, it's actually, as long as you remember that you have to manage your entire account, anything you would ever do management of the account, you should do from the website, not from the app. Because remember, this app isn't good. Right? So go to the website, do all your stuff, add your codes there, and then you will be able to see the items and that type of stuff from the app.
So the subscription is for access to the app, and then you still have to buy all of your books. Yep. And do you know how, like, this might be too detailed of a question, I apologize, but do you know, like, when, like, if they've put out any rules, like in Psychic Awakening, in a sub book, or
all the old books you get for free?
What about a white dwarf?
Nope.
No.
But all the old books, all the current, what you would consider tournament legal rule type stuff. So there's no toggle where you can click Cities of Death and get access to adding all the Cities of Death shit into your game, right? But anything that has not been produced in 9th edition, the rules for you to play that in a tournament exist in the app somewhere. And then so right now I have the Tau Psychic Awakening stuff. I have access to all of that. I can read the rules, or I can add, units and do all the stuff in the list builder. When they release a new Tau book, I will lose that, and I will not have any Tau until I type in my code, because I bought the new Tau book. So that's how they're dealing with it. All right. So right now I cannot build a Blood Angels army in that thing because I do not have the new Blood Angels book, I think. Or I at least don't have access to all their fancy stuff.
Okay. Interesting. Well, it sounds like they're working on it, and they're asking for your help, and they're bribing you to help by giving you an army.
Hey, and I would suggest everybody in the universe do that. Like, there's no reason not to.
It's the Nox. Welcome, Nox. Nox, did you hear my beta fish joke?
Oh my god. Are you really going back to it?
He is.
No reason to revisit something that was that awful.
Fair enough. Fair point. I will continue to paint my crystals white.
Good idea.
Okay, so
so I lied, man. So I just went in there. I can build a Blood Angels attachment, but it doesn't give me the ability to look at any of the stats or do some of the basic things in here. So I don't know where the fucking line is when you don't buy stuff. I'm done. It's
awesome.
Okay. Beta it. Win your army. Don't rely on it.
I'm only gonna rely on it.
Oh, then you're doomed.
So I'm gonna go back to some old news, un 40K related news. I was just perusing around, and Josh isn't here, so guess what?
Ooh, what?
I'm gonna talk about Star Wars Legion.
Oh yeah?
Oh, okay.
I'm excited about that.
So there's this other game. It's called Star Wars Legion.
Yes.
And they got the Lando Calrissian but the younger Lando Calrissian you can now play, which I thought
What?
was really cool. So that's coming out. Lando. And then Sean, if we ever play Armada again, they have also come out with the Old Republic and the mech fleet.
Ooh.
So the Separatist fleet.
I do love some Grand Republic, proto Star Destroyers.
So I thought that was kind of cool. Now that information did come out in like December, and we didn't talk about it because
Yeah, well, things have been going on, so I think
I'm just gonna blame Josh.
There you go.
Blame Josh pretty much.
Oh,
Okay,
good call.
but since he's not here, you got to tell me, why aren't you allowed to talk about Legion while he's here?
So I did a mean thing. Josh wins a lot, as we all know.
Right.
And so when I introduced him to Armada, I took the stupidest list and crushed his soul because it was his first game.
Right, as you do when you're trying to get someone into a game.
As one does.
Right.
No, and we don't really talk about Legion because we had
A negative play experience.
No. We had a very positive play experience, and then Josh painted one of his like little speeder, like rebel speeder planes. I forgot what they're called. He painted it blue, and then hated it, and then gave up. And then we got into a big fight with the internet because Josh put cork on his bases to make his models
gosh, I
look
remember
better.
that. That was the dumbest drama I've ever seen.
And people are like, "You're cheating. You're modeling for advantage." And
he was putting his models on cork to make it look cooler and more dynamic, right? We've all done that, right?
Yes.
And they really didn't like that community of doing custom bases because they felt that would allow you to see over barriers, but didn't understand that the enemies could see you too.
Right. So, and that's what I tried. I was only able to find one very specific scenario where it would be advantageous, and that would be if you had the ability to like move or force somebody else to move, right? Which would allow you to shoot them and then not be shot. But otherwise, if it's true line of sight and you're taller than the wall, then you get to see over the wall and shoot, and they get to see you and shoot you. So there is no modeling for advantage in true line of sight. But yeah, there was a bunch of drama over it, and he didn't like his blue spaceship, and now we don't play Legion.
Bummer.
But Sean, I'll play Legion with you. You can
I
have
wanna play
Really over the interwebs.
you can have Josh's Rebels, and I'll buy you the new Lando.
I'm trying to downsize games, man.
I understand. Well, I know that Aaron can't contain himself.
You can't.
Any longer. He's got to talk. He's
why?
got to talk about it.
What do we have to talk about?
Nurgle.
So Nurgle's finally coming out. That's cool, right? Pre-order this weekend. So obviously I will 100% be picking that up. You also got the new captain, which I have not seen the rules for, the hero, but he has a giant spewer. So more flaming. That's one of the cool things about Nurgle is they're actually like all about the flamethrowers too. Like the things that you don't expect them to be good at, they're really good at. Like melee combat, they actually tear stuff up in melee. And
I would expect them to be good at melee, right?
No?
I would not.
Yeah,
What?
but they are really good in that close to medium range. Anywho, you got that new guy coming out, so definitely we'll pick him up. And then you got the new poop furnaces. So not sure exactly what they do yet, or I think I actually did read the rules. They did the teasers like a month or so ago. But the furnaces are going to come out. All right, cool. And then the book, and then the cards, and then there's a new combat patrol box, which is all right. Like you would only ever buy one of them, right? We all know these combat patrol boxes are basically replacing the start collectors.
Which I like. Again, we've said this every time. I like.
Yeah, I think I'm fine with that too. But I'm just kind of reminding folks that's kind of the purpose of these things. And the combat patrol box for Death Guard is a Typhus, the dude with the grenade racks that can make like one super nade that you would only ever take one of at most. 7 Plague Marines and 10 Poxwalkers.
That's always so it's always good when you know that you'd only ever take one of the model at most. 0 to 1.
Yeah, when you got to
Yes.
throw that at most in there, yeah.
Yeah, it's an at most.
I don't
And
know.
like you don't need more than one Typhus ever. I miss the start collecting boxes where you had value even if you bought multiple.
Right. Yes, I know what you mean.
Those like beginning of 8th edition boxes.
Do you remember like back in 7th when they had like the spend $2,000 and we'll just set you up with a full Space Marine army? Do you remember that? You got like 9 drop pods and do you remember that? Oh. They had those classic GW deals where it was like, "Hey, instead of buying one start collecting box and one expansion box, why don't you buy 5 of each and have this really awesome army?" But then
sold.
But the price was the same as if you just bought one. There was no price break in the.
It wasn't like they're hooking up with a whole bunch of drop pods. That's what I thought. Yeah, no, I remember those deals. That was just a bundle for MSRP.
Yeah, it was just
like,
a bundle.
But
you just buy 9 now. Just buy 9.
Yeah.
At the price of the same as if you bought one. But buy 9.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Uh-huh.
I assume it worked.
I mean, when you saw, when I saw the picture of the fully painted army and it was like, oh, all of this can be yours, I wanted it. I didn't put it in my cart, but I wanted it.
You wanted 9 drop pods, huh?
Dude, I love drop pods.
Aren't you kind of glad you dodged that bullet just a little bit?
I mean, I think I have 9 drop pods, but
oh well.
I at least have 5 drop pods.
Should have bought them all at once. You could have felt like a champ.
I should have. I think I bought most of them actually used at Adepticon.
That's where I got my 2 drop pods.
Who is in a drawer? I'm going to murder you.
Sorry. Digging for a bit. I need a Crozius. Sean, don't you have one of those Death Watch? Not Death Watch. Who are they? The Dark Angel Terminators with those Croziuses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hook a brother up.
Nah.
Crozius, please.
Fucking heretic. No, you just want one of the maces?
Yeah.
Okay.
How often are you mailing things back and forth to each other?
Sean is starting a Carrier Express.
Specifically for you.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep. Daughter's college almost paid off.
It's a good revenue stream.
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, I pretty much bought this whole word bearer. Sean didn't even like blink an eye when I somehow accidentally bought 2 Master of Possessions from him over the course of this.
let's just hold on here a second.
Uh-huh.
Lore wise.
Yeah.
Lore wise,
Yep.
Sean is Angels of Terra. Right? That's who he represents. But on the side, he's arming chaos by sending models.
Uh-huh.
So how do you justify that, Sean?
So
how do you live with yourself?
My good friend Rabuto said it was all right.
What's the difference between a Battle Force box and a Combat Patrol box?
The Battle Force box is
size and price.
Here I got. Yeah, the Battle Force box are the holiday ones that are these ginormous boxes. Like I got the Chaos one, and you got the Forge Fiend, the Lord, the Havocs, Terminators, Space Marine Squad. It's a big old box that's big value that they only do at the holidays, right? There's very limited numbers. Combat Patrol boxes are what to get you jumped into, just get into the game. I'm assuming these are all trying to be around that, 5 or 20 power level or 100 power level? What is it? I don't know
50.
Power level,
50.
But whatever they're doing for combat patrols.
Fair day.
So like it's around like a 500 point army from what I understand.
Correct.
So,
And that's
so
what they're going
25 power level.
25.
25.
I thought it was 50, but whatever.
So that's really the major difference, just the scale of the box. You can get those combat patrol boxes basically anytime.
Oh, so you can't get the Battle Force, need to see the comment, Battle Force box anymore.
Correct, because remember, that's just the holiday box.
Ah.
The Battle Forces are the holiday box.
It's a very holiday name that they gave it.
Yes, the Battle Force.
Battle Force Holiday Special.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I'm almost done painting all of these crystals white. And I have a lot of paint on me, and I want to wash my hands.
I kind of want to put candles on this Dark Apostles backpack, but I don't know if it's going to be a little too much.
Dudes! I left the house.
Yeah, what'd you do?
I went to the local arboretum for a drive-through light show.
Nice.
And that was great. It was like paying $45 to be in traffic.
Surprising that you bring this up. We actually just got back not too long ago from a drive-in laser show.
Oh,
drive-in laser show.
Yeah. They like Aaron said, it's $50 to sit in a parking lot.
Oh, so see, you sat in a parking lot. We drove through an arboretum, so we literally had a 45-minute drive of going 5 miles an hour driving through trees. So it was like, and what was funny is like we get through the gate. It was all contactless. We get through the gate, and we weren't sure when the light show, like when we were in the official light show or not, because there was no difference between the traffic level after the gate. You know what I mean? It was just like. After the gate to the end, it was just traffic. And I was like, yay, we paid $45 to sit in traffic, but we get to look at pretty lights. So it's worth it.
It is, man. It is.
But you went to a drive-in laser show. So what did they do?
Oh, played like 15 seconds of a whole bunch of different songs. And
Did you have to listen to it on the radio?
Terrible animation. They had speakers.
Oh, okay.
So we could listen to it like through the windows and stuff like that, which was good because they kind of just rushed us in there, which whatever. But no, it was nice to go do something.
Yeah,
out of the house.
It was nice to do something out of the house. I agree.
Yeah,
Which I know that's not everybody's experience. I know a lot of people are doing a lot of things out of the house, but I haven't been. So it's big news for me. Even
though you stayed in the car, it is.
Even though we stayed in the car. And like last year we went and it was really, really great. But part of the appeal is that you would walk and they would have like these little hot chocolate stations and they would have s'mores stations and whatnot. So we made our own hot chocolate. We made s'mores. We had our snacks. I learned the difficulties of trying to drive at 5 miles an hour while drinking a hot chocolate, taking video of lights, and FaceTiming my dad.
Wow, what a multitasker.
That was...
With your family in the car.
With my family in the car, yeah. That was probably the most dangerous part of the whole trip. My paint water cup... just want to show you. My paint water cup looks like a delicious glass of milk right now.
Take a swig.
I would if we got... let's go with $20. If we got a $20 super chat, I would take a little sip of this paint water. I'm not above that.
Is that Mod Podge in there?
Nope, just white paint.
Oh, just white paint. Oh, okay. It's acrylic. Oh, you'd probably be all right.
Yeah, I'd probably be fine.
Uh-huh.
We don't need to define the quantity of sip. We just need to define the quantity of price. $20.
Interesting.
I think $20 would require a gulp.
I retract my offer. With the word gulp, I retract my offer. Although, probably regardless the quantity, I would make the gulp noise based off of the taste. But yeah.
So, Aaron, that's just
right.
That you're painting those crystals with, huh?
It's just white basics latex acrylic. Titanium white. And then I go back and I pretty much just wash with blue and purple, and it comes out like this. Then I edge highlight with the white, and then I Mod Podge for a glaze, and it makes them look all shiny.
Okay, Mod Podge at the
And
end.
magical.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I Mod Podge at the end. But I think I've gotten myself to a point where I can switch from painting to working on the bases. And so what I did for the bases is I laser cut all of the different possible shapes and configurations that can go in between the hexagons. I'll show everybody what I'm talking about in a second. I need to get the paint off my fingers, and I need to move things around. Nobody wants to pay me $20 to drink paint water. Okay, fine. Whatever.
Whoa.
Whatever. I thought maybe
No,
I
do
figured
not.
maybe maybe Josh was watching and he would take the bait.
Josh giving away $20 for free? Do you know this guy?
Dude, I almost jacked up my model. Josh, $20 for free?
It's not like
What does that even mean?
fair
That
point.
was funny. That was
Fair point.
funny. But it made sense. I don't know what it means, but it made sense.
Okay.
It rung true.
So I got these hexagon plastic cups or bowls or whatever. These are laboratory. They're usually used in the laboratory. And so what I do is I use these as like, I believe it's called the matrix, is what crystals grow off of. So this is the matrix. And I laser cut these pieces. Yeah, so when you have a crystal always grows on something, right? And so what it grows on is called the matrix. So I have these pieces which I glue in place, and then they are designed to fit well enough together that I can then glue in the 5mm beads, which are over there I need to grab, and the beads will be flush with the top. So there'll just be these channels of beads, and these hexagons, and then the crystals will be placed coming out. So you have like these cool modular hexagonal shaped pieces of terrain. Yeah, this is what I'm working on for the competition with Terrainaholic.
And when do you anticipate being complete?
Well, he said he's complete.
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Please don't debase yourself like that. Okay. I appreciate that. From you, Starhawk, I appreciate that. We'll go with $35. Just for you, Starhawk. We'll just raise the price.
It's slightly classier.
Yeah, I think 35 is more classy. It's a more classy number. He's done, but here's the thing. I don't know if he's gonna paint his. I've seen what he made, right? He sent it to me. And it's freaking awesome. Like, it is legitimately awesome, but it is currently unpainted. And I'm just gonna have to bank on the paint job, I think, to carry me over unless he actually buckles down and paints. So it will be complete, probably, like, I will be done with the project and the video within, a week or two, and the video will be up pretty soon after that. But he's done. I just have to finish my side, which includes painting.
Right.
So, we'll see. We'll see what everybody has to say. $35 glass half full or glass half empty. No, it's just a sip. It's $35 for a sip.
I just want to know if you would pee white.
I think I have a higher probability of pooping white than I do of peeing white. And I will tell you why.
Oh, do we really need to know?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have Crohn's disease, and so I take a lot of gastro tests, and one of the things that you take is barium sulfate,
Sulfates, huh?
which is in the MRI. It glows, right? So it lets them see the inside of you, but it's essentially a white powder in suspension. So I know what happens after you drink 3 liters of a white powder in suspension.
Use your imagination, audience.
Red Green says we need a video.
Ooh, really?
Oh man.
Okay, so I need to start putting these together. So I essentially have three different shapes.
Uh-huh.
I have double ended platforms that go in the middle. And so on this particular design, I need two of them. And then I have single studded platforms, which make up where one of the edges would terminate. And then I have a little triangle piece that fits in the bottom to close it off. And then the whole thing gets spray painted white after I put on the glass balls. And then I attach the crystals and I paint it all up. And I did a test, and I decided that I am going to be airbrushing the bases and not hand painting the bases.
What about the test made you put you in that decision?
Brush strokes.
Easy.
Because I want I want to maintain the smoothness, right, of these hexagons. So like these plastic bowls are very flat, right? They're very smooth. So normally when you build terrain and you're adding something, you usually add a really fine grain sand as a texture, right? So like for example, specifically modeling sand. When you go and you paint modeling sand, you don't get brush strokes because it's by definition matte and you don't have to worry about it. But because these are so flat, I have these little 2mm glass beads that I mix in, so you get like these little polyps here and there. But I need to airbrush it in order to maintain the integrity of the flat surface even after priming. So that's
Enough.
that's the sitch. That's the sitch.
I wouldn't have said it that way, but okay.
And so because of that, I actually bought a whole new stock of Game Air airbrush paint that I wanted to talk about. I before was using miniature paint, which I really liked. I've never used Game Air. I couldn't get the Game Air. Big Aaron gave me the idea of just calling the local game store and having them, and so I did that in order to support them. I was like, "Yo, just give me one of each color." I'm really liking the Game Air. I don't know if you guys have used it or what your opinion of it is, but I really like it.
Yeah, Game Air and Model Air are their two lines for airbrush over at Vallejo. The Model Air just kind of like more of your pretty classic standard for like military war gamings, like lots of really good browns and greens in your primary colors. And then the Game Air is like very kind of poppy, sort of like your vibrant colors, your kind of alienish colors that you would not see in modern or historic warfare. And their metals, those Game Air and Model Air metals are fantastic. Even just straight out of the pot with a brush. Oh, so good. So good. They're my favorite.
Yeah, so I've only been using the purple, and so far, I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with it. I haven't had any clogs or any jams in my airbrush. I haven't had to like add any additional components to the airbrush paint. It just seems to be working really well. So I'm very happy with that decision. Now it could be that my error, it could be because it's new stock as opposed to the airbrush paint that I had, which I don't know how old it was.
Sure.
But I don't know how long it's been on the shelf, at my local friendly game store. So I don't know how old it actually is, but it's presumably newer.
Well, I think the big thing that you get from the Vallejo Model Air or the Vallejo Air paints, they have a very different consistency. It is extremely thin. You have to use 2 or 3 coats. If you are painting it on by hand, which is the GW recommendation anyway, I use some of their paints in there's some of that Vallejo air in every paint scheme that I've ever done. I guess is the best way to say it. Whether I've brushed it on by hand or airbrushed it, I love it. I use their primers. It is a polyurethane primer as opposed to like an acrylic primer. So it is about as industrial as shit gets. You can't strip it off the models.
That was the only thing I could not get. That even
Really?
the primers are out of stock everywhere. Out of stock on the internet, out of stock at the local game store. So I wasn't able to get their primers.
I have heard that we are about to start seeing the ramifications of all the shutdowns and stuff in various types of hobby supplies because no one's been able to make this fancy high-end shit that we all use and still can't make.
Well, yeah, even Vallejo. I think I mentioned this on last week's show, but Vallejo, they are in Spain and in a region that was hit really hard with COVID, so their availability has been very, very limited. Even tough to find sometimes online, just as Aaron was saying, he wasn't able to, had to go local, which we should all do, support our local shops.
Which is what I would have done actually normally. I don't normally buy hobby supplies online. But,
Yeah.
I have had issues like with local hobby stores or regional hobby stores not shipping, you know what I mean, and requiring a pickup or something, and that's not in my abilities because of my autoimmune issues. But one of the local game stores does like 2 days a week. So long as you don't need it now, then they'll ship on like a Tuesday and a Thursday or something, or a Tuesday and a Friday. Zydan says, super good primers, got black, gray, and white. That would be the colors that you need.
Yep, that is actually, I do a black, gray, white Zenithal highlight on any miniature that I'm going to do contrast on because it looks fucking dope after you contrast it. I normally do a black and then my base color for every model that I paint. So, shadow, on top stuff, and go.
On top stuff is the technical term.
Technical term, baby.
Technical term. By the way, you might be looking at this and going, man, like there's a bunch of gaps. They don't fit perfectly together. That's true. There are a bunch of gaps and they don't fit perfectly together. And they don't have to. I just need them to fit well enough because I'm going to cover these with the glass beads. So that's why they're not 100% perfect. And these hexagon bowls are actually not all 100% exactly the same shape.
What?
There's.
How can that be?
I don't know. Call the manufacturer. But the way that I do this is first I tack weld everything with a cyanoacrylate, and then I use an acrylic glue. So I go from super glue to white glue. So I'm gonna let this dry for a minute. I'm going to wipe it down because I don't want my kicker on there. The kicker will mess with your white glue. So I'm going to wipe it down. I'm going to let all this super glue dry, and then I'm going to put in the sides white glue.
Yeah, the kicker will kind of curdle your glue.
It will curdle your white glue. And the reason why I do this is because this is terrain, and super glue or cyanoacrylate, specifically when kicked, but even on its own, has two properties. One, it's exothermic.
And what does exothermic mean?
It gives off heat.
Okay.
And that can warp and change your stuff. But it's also super brittle, right? And so it's not a really good long-term thing. And another thing that people don't really realize or know, Crazy Glue, the inventors of super glue, you are actually supposed to glue with 100 psi of force for 15 seconds in order to achieve maximum strength, and then you only get that strength in one direction, right? It's very brittle. So the tighter the gap and the more force that you keep between two objects that you're super gluing, the better bond you're going to get. So when you see like the dude wearing the hard hat being carried by the I-beam, like the old ass thing, like they actually put the two pieces of, like there's a piece of metal, and they actually put that into a super vise, and they kept it like, you know, hundreds of pounds of force in order to get that amount of strength out of the super glue. But
Really?
when you're working on terrain, like there's two glues that you really want to avoid when you're working on terrain.
Okay.
Hot glue and
What? I don't believe it.
and super glue.
What? Oh yeah, for terrain, I believe that.
For terrain. So hot glue is not actually a glue. It is just plastic, and you melt two things together, and it hardens, and they kind of sit. It's not actually creating a chemical bond. Its structure isn't changing. It's going from hot to cold and sort of wrapping itself around and interlocking. So it is not a long-term thing, and it's also very sensitive to thermal shock. So changes in temperature, even sunlight or not sunlight, can cause it to fail over time. It's really great in a pinch. It's really great for adding little details. But if you want to make terrain that's going to last for, you know, a long time and be able to be beat up and like beat around, white glue, 2-part epoxy, pretty much anything that requires it to dry and for you to come back tomorrow is what you want to be using. Is the unfortunate thing. So next step.
So you're saying that terrain building is the waiting man's game?
Yeah. And
That's exactly what I'm saying.
It's probably also true with miniatures. Like, I bet 2-part epoxy probably would hold your old metal miniatures together better than anything else, but you'd have to pin it for 24 hours, which would be a super pain in the ass.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
So that's just some terrain. That's just some terrain tips. So again, I use a combination of, I will use the super glue to get things into position, and then I will, and then I'll white glue it. And if you want your super glue to be a little bit more robust, hold it, keep pressure on it for at least 5 to 15 seconds, and don't accelerate it. Don't kick it. Because that increases the brittleness, and it also increases the thermal reaction. You can actually get super glue hot enough to burn yourself. Like if you coated your finger in super glue and then kicked it, you could burn yourself.
Note to self: don't try that.
Which I've done that accidentally.
Yeah, I was about to say I think I've done that accidentally.
Yeah.
Who hasn't got a little glue and a little zip kicker on yourself?
Me, this is actually the first time I've ever bought the accelerant.
That is so crazy.
That
I
is
think.
bizarre. That is insane. It's insane to me.
Just don't get you, Sean. Sometimes
it's like, you know how to filter your paint with special coffee filters, but you don't know don't know what zip kicker is. I don't know what.
You're asking for glue pro tips.
I've never needed it. What I'm still like, I got this bottle and I'm like glued that arm on. Okay.
You don't need it until it's like, okay.
So you need it?
No. This is how it goes. It's like when you go from an old computer to a new computer, and you never really felt how long it took for an application to open, and then like one day your new computer is reformatting, so you open your old computer and you try to get into Microsoft Word, and you're like, oh my god, I can't wait 19/10ths of a second. You know what I mean? You can never go back.
Oddly specific, but yes.
You can never go back. So it's like, now that you start using the Instaset, you're going to be like, ugh, normal super glue takes forever.
Yeah.
Like,
I am excited for that moment. So I'll make a special point to use all my fancy new adhesives the next time I build something.
yeah.
I did use the new Instacure, MaxiCure, whatever stuff, and that was super nice to use.
I don't know. That sounds like something for your nails. What's that?
No, it was the big box of the super strength AC or CA whatever.
Gotcha.
From the Bob
Oh,
Industry.
from the kit. Yeah.
No, I didn't want to buy all this shit.
Yeah,
Use it all.
Sean got like a whole sampler kit of the good old Bob Industries glues, like the ones that I'm holding up. All right,
Which are the
that's
same,
what
yeah,
we're
same
talking
ones
about.
same ones that I'm talking about, and
Here's the zip kicker. We've
pretty
all seen this.
pretty much the same ones that you'll find at all your local hobby stores,
Yeah,
except as you can see, I just ripped off that label. They just get them and relabel them.
they do. Every store has them, and they have their own little labels on them.
But
Bob Smith Industries makes glue and labels.
we found the source, Bob's, which is a really interesting business model. That, like, yes, you can buy from Bob Smith online directly, but for the most part, they sell glue to independent hobby shops, and that's how you get it.
Yeah, I've seen them at hardware stores too.
And hardware stores.
Yeah.
And it always says like the name of that shop. Oh no, my blue tape.
Bob Smith. I wonder if it was actually started by Bob Smith or it's just all marketing.
I feel like considering how much they hide the Bob Smith, like the detective work, that I don't think it has anything to do with marketing. All right,
He was actually Bob Smith and he was actually a horrible person. That's why they hide the history. You don't find that on their Wikipedia.
It's a terrible person. What did he do?
If that's not true, sorry, Bob Smith.
He's probably like the nicest guy ever. He's like, I can make some glue. So, I have some amazing news.
Ooh, all right. Amazing news. Love it.
500 copies of Rangers the board game, which has been in development for I think 3 years, maybe 4, have finally been shipped to Mini Wargaming. There is a picture of our good friend, everyone's good friend Dave.
Wargaming Dave.
Mini Wargaming Dave with all of the boxes that just came in. We made the final payments. And if you look right there on this zoomed in picture, there I am on the box, the worst painting of me ever. But that is.
How many paintings are there of you?
More than one, Aaron.
I went to art school.
So bougie.
Yeah,
so did I. I didn't do any paintings of myself. I'm not a narcissist.
You didn't like model. You didn't go to any of the places to be a model. The paint. Anyways, we don't need.
No one wants to draw my naked body.
Who said anything about a naked body?
Well, that's what they do in art school. They draw nudes.
They also draw faces. Anyways, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it's not a great painting of me. That's my point. But it is me on the box. I am a character that you can play in the game and a character that appears in the movie. We also got the CGN logo on the box. I'm so excited to finally get this project done. And I can also tell you, and you all are going to be the first to know, on February 10th at 1 o'clock, I will be on the Shrine of Chaos on Mini Wargaming, and we are going to be giving away probably 40k stuff, but also the boxes of games, because we have 500 copies.
Ooh.
And
now, if I was wanting to, first off, why don't you tell us, one, a little bit about what is Rangers, and two, what is the board game like?
Sure. So, Rangers is a Lord of the Rings type story. It was originally come up with by a gentleman named Ron Newcomb, who came out with a couple of shorts and a short movie. He was a fan of Mini Wargaming, and he asked Dave to participate in his movie, and he made Dave a character, and Dave went and did his movie, and Dave loved that movie so much that he asked if he could keep his character's and his costume, and if he could do a short movie. And so Dave did a short movie, which he had a lot of fun doing, and he wanted to turn it into a feature film. So Dave and I partnered to take his 20-minute short and turn it into an hour-and-a-half movie called Rangers the Bloodstone. Since then, Ron Newcomb has started the Fantasy Network, which is a subscription service where you can watch specifically fantasy and sci-fi shows. It's really good. You should check it out. And it's super cheap. I think it's like $2.99 a month or something. The Rangers movie will be on there soon. Ooh. So he gave us permission to use, his world. So we made that movie. And then we were making the movie anyways. We decided to do a Kickstarter. And we were like, why not just make a board game? You know what I mean? Like, why not? It seemed simple. We knew a company. He was a friendly guy who made board games. He made the Buffy the Vampire Slayer game, Lynn Vander Studios. I call him Dick Vander, but we don't need to get into reasons why, other than it's 4 years later since we commissioned it. I think that speaks for itself. So we finally have this game. We have 500 copies, and it can be played. It's a co-op game where you are trying to prevent the orcs from getting the bloodstone. You can play it. There's a single player version, which is really fun, or you can play as a group. And essentially, what you're doing is you are moving your characters around and you're fighting war bands of orcs and defending cities and working together to prevent them from getting all of the crystal shards to destroy the world.
Oh, okay. Now, this sounds like a pretty cool game. You're going to give at least one away on this upcoming show.
Yep.
If I wanted to get a copy, because I missed out, like I legit missed out on on your Kickstarter. So how do I go and get a copy of this game?
So we are still working out the specific details of what we're going to do. So we have, I believe, 45 games that are pre-sold on the Kickstarter that we need to send out. And we need to make sure that the people that backed the Kickstarter 3 years ago are the first people to get their games. That just
Makes
feels
sense.
right.
Right.
And then after that, the games will either be available through the Mini Wargaming store or through the rangersmovie.com, which most likely will just link to the Mini Wargaming store. And we're probably going to do a bundle. We're going to figure, like, the MSRP, the standard MSRP is $60. But
seems about average.
That's average. But we're gonna go through all of our costs and we're gonna see if we can lower that. You know, like we're not interested in necessarily, you know, like if we break even, that would be great.
You're not in it for the money, huh?
We're not in it for the billions, baby.
You
but,
didn't get into board gaming,
you know,
for the ladies and the millions.
You know.
All the Benjamins?
There's a lot of money to be made in board gaming, and like I said, 500 copies at $60 MSRP is what, $25,000, right?
You're in money.
You know, so I mean, there is a lot of money to be made. That wasn't ever our plan. Our plan was just to make a fun board game to go along with the movie. I think Dave and I haven't decided. But our general concept is that we are going to sell a digital copy of the movie and the board game together, and that it will probably retail for somewhere between 40 and 70, right? And we're going to try to figure out the best way to do that so that you get a digital download of the movie and the board game. And I'm also going to try to convince him to do a whole bunch of signed copies as well if you want Dave's signature from Mini Wargaming, which would be
you need to make that happen for sure.
Which would be really cool. So, and if we do miraculously sell all 500 copies in a short period of time, then we'll do another production run. You know,
and you get them in another 3 years.
And well, no, the 3 years was the designing and the designer. It was the studio designing the game. Which we don't need to get into that. The bottom line is that it's done. It's exciting. Dave finally has the games in hand, and yeah, that's what's going on. So right now I'm putting the crystals into the paths. I've covered it all with white glue. This is definitely going to have to sit overnight. I just sort of let the 5mm balls kind of create their own pattern, which guess what?
What?
Tends to be a hexagon.
Get out.
Lies! Fake news!
So they just kind of sit in there nicely. And I try not to make a mess of them. So I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to play it. We're gonna, you know.
I bet this has been a long time in production.
Yeah.
I mean, like this whole, like everything to do with Rangers, like it's been working on it for some time.
It has been, and obviously the whole COVID thing put another, like here's the really big bummer. I submitted the Rangers movie to Gen Con, And so if it got accepted to the Gen Con Film Festival, which I don't know if you're aware that there is a fantasy sci-fi festival at Gen Con for movies, then I would have gotten to go to Gen Con for free and be part of that whole festival thing. And of course that was canceled and none of that happened. So what's actually happening with the movie, we still don't know. We got to figure it out. It's this whole other world of movie production and distribution rights, and like it's just complicated. Like it's so people are like, oh, just put it on Amazon. It's like, okay, I don't think you understand. Like,
is it not that simple?
You just don't call Amazon, right? You don't call their customer support line and be like, hey, I have a problem with my delivery, and would you mind streaming me my movie? Like it doesn't work that way. So we've been learning about it, but more importantly, it was just a fun project to do, and I'm really excited that it's coming to fruition, and that we get to share it, and that we have this game, and I think everybody will enjoy it. But yes, it will be for sale. We have a lot of copies to sell. And hopefully we sell them all. Otherwise, everybody knows what they're getting for Christmas for the next 4 or 5 years.
6 years.
Like, it's just going to be like, I'm going to send it to Grandma this year. Next year, I'm going to send it to Grandpa. Like, everybody will get a copy in my family of Rangers the board game if they don't sell.
I mean, I'm looking forward to a copy.
I am also looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun, and I also really think that the single-player version is excellently suited for the current days and times.
Yes, that is true. That is a very good point. All right, I'm at the point where it's so full of glass beads I need to stop touching it, or I'm going to start messing it up. I don't have my... So now normally what I do, which I'm going to have to do this after the stream because I don't have it, I have a 1/3, 2/3 mix of white glue to water in an atomizer, and then I spray that over the top, and it really helps seal all of the glass beads down. And then I let that dry 24 hours, and then I double prime white. And that
Double prime white.
Double
Really
prime
good.
white.
Real white, huh?
Well, no, it's more of to help keep the adhesion of everything.
Red Green's wondering if you'll sign the box.
Of course I'll. You want me to sign a box? I'll sign the box. Absolutely, I'll sign a box.
Oh, to get yours and Mini Wargaming Dave's signature every nerd stream.
Every
Yeah.
nerd's dream. 100%. 100%. I have another picture to show.
All right.
Simple Simon was the winner of the Indominus box set.
That's right. That was a lot
And-
of fun. I'm so glad we were able to give that away.
Yeah, it was awesome. So he was the winner. He won the Necron Codex. He won the Space Marine Codex. He won the Indominus box set. And I was so worried about messing up the shipping that I went to UPS and I was like, this has to get to England, and I need insurance on it, and just make sure it gets there. And it actually arrived to him within 36 hours of me shipping it.
Wow.
And he sent me an email, and he was like, I just want you to know that I have ordered stuff from Games Workshop 4 or 5 days before I won this Indominus box, and I live in England, and Games Workshop is in England, and I received your box from United States first.
Nice.
But I was like,
CGN is the shit.
dude,
Yeah,
please
best
send me,
shipping.
please send me a picture of it in your possession, which he was kind enough to do. So I'm sharing that with you all now. So Simple Simon, I hope that you took
Congrats,
that.
Simple Simon.
I hope you took those books and resold them and made a hearty profit. Because
A
apparently-
hearty profit off of free 99.
Yeah, because you can't get them anywhere apparently. So yeah, so that was really fun. That was fun to give away on Christmas Day. I'm glad we did that.
It's tons of fun.
So not much Marvel Crisis Protocol news. I took a look at their website. Didn't see a whole lot there. There's
The only reason Josh didn't come on tonight is because he was like, "There's no Marvel news. Why do I even bother?"
There is a new fire spray for X-Wing. Specifically, it's Jango Fett. And the cool thing about it is that Jango Fett gets to play for the Separatists, which means that you can run the fire spray with the droid fleet. So that's kind of... I know, 36 hours. Crazy. I don't need to tell you what the shipping price was. I pretty much... I put it on a private jet, apparently, is what I did.
Apparently.
Like, I was just like, this must arrive. I didn't mean for them to ship it, like, next day across the Atlantic, but... apparently I did. Yeah, so they have the droid Tri-Fighter, which is kind of cool, but Jango Fett's Fire Spray, the Slave One expansion, is also available. So if you're an X-Wing fan, and if you like Jango Fett, and if you want to run a human with some of your robots, you can do that now. And then they also have the ETA-2 expansion pack, which is the spaceship that the Jedi flies, except inside of the hyperspace ring. Right? So it like has that cool ring. So you can get those now too, which I'm probably gonna be picking up because, well, technically Josh plays he plays the Rebels. Technically, and I play the Separatists. I might not buy the Tri-Fighter. I don't know if I'm that into it. But I am super into Jango Fett's Slave One, so yeah, I might buy another fire spray instead of just repainting my fire spray. But I need the cards. That's really the reality. Is that I need the cards.
Need them cards.
Need the cards.
So that's all the non-40K stuff. We didn't really talk about the update to Kill Team. But we can talk about that really quick. If you weren't aware, they updated the Kill Team rules so that the new Primaris Assault Intercessor is in Kill Team, which is extremely, extremely important because the Primaris in Kill Team had very limited close combat weapons. It was a very shooty army. Yep. So that's a big deal for Kill Teams, and they've also updated the Necrons. I don't know specifically what the Necrons need updated. I assume it's the new gun that's been updated along with their...
Or is it the do they include the Choppy Boys?
They don't have a picture of the Choppy Boys. They have a picture of the basic troop with the new gun, and then they have the tactic. The model essentially gets to shoot twice for a command point, which is really fun. And then I don't think we've gone through this, but if you weren't aware, a giant FAQ drop has happened. So, yeah.
Very, very big.
Very, very big. Which,
it's like over 50 pages.
Which is, like, it's just like, why am I going to read that when I have nobody to play?
And Aaron, I think, I really only looked at a bunch of the Tau stuff. I normally look at the main rule books and things. But we got a couple things that were common sense mistakes, right? Like, Commander Shadowsun didn't have the Supreme Commander word, so you couldn't put her in a Lord of War detachment. Right, so that got fixed. They changed the language on a bunch of stuff, but didn't actually change the way any of it worked. And the weirdest thing is, they took missile drones, made them 30 points, and put shielded missile drones that you buy with the Riptides down to 15. What the fuck? Yeah, exactly. Who knows? It's crazy. Either they got them mixed up or something of the sort. But right now, make sure to take your shielded missile drones with your Riptides.
Oh, if you buy them separately, they're double the price?
No, you can't buy them separately.
Oh, okay.
It's the drones are just weird. So anyway, long story short, they fucked with the drone prices. It's fucking weird. Who knows?
So the only thing that you've read is Tau.
Yeah. But I'd assume you're going to see the same thing. Mostly point changes and clarifications in language. Oh, the cool thing is, though, the clarification they made was for anybody who's out there plays Tau, plays Farsight, or uses a commander with the Mont Ka special rule. You get to all the units within you, within 6 inches of you when you declare the tactic, get to shoot as if they had remained stationary. So the argument is, does that allow them to fall back and still shoot? And when you go and analyze the rules and stuff, a fallback move is a type of movement. So when you put it in the right hierarchy and all that fun stuff, you can fall back with a unit as long as it started within 6 inches of your commander when he declared this thing and still fire full effect like you didn't move. So it has some potential to be very, very good in an otherwise struggling army. So fun stuff.
You are a Tau boy at heart.
I
What
do
a
love me some
cowboy.
Tau.
You
I
are a
love me
Tau
some
boy.
Tau.
It's like he spent an entire year painting 6 Dark Angels models, and the first thing he checks is the Tau rules.
Yep. That's why I started, man.
And that's a-okay.
No,
It is.
absolutely.
I painted one Nurgle demon army, and of course I'm looking at all the Death Guard stuff.
Oh yeah, you have to. It's how it works.
Have you checked out any of the? Did you check out in the FAQs, Aaron?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I'm not super caring about the rules right now. More about the hobbies.
Yeah.
Because like by the time I actually get to play a game, the rules could change for like my stuff 2 more times. Like
Yeah.
the Death Guard book's coming out. There's that other new whatever the new Vigilus or Psychic Awakening series is coming out already. And that's going to have even more Death Guard rules in that. And then there will be an FAQ, obligatory FAQs, because, you know, as if we don't spend enough on books, they can't put a book out that's properly spell checked.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man.
Like, you know, if we're going to buy a bunch of books, okay. Like, I'm not as against books as Josh is. I understand that they need to keep things fresh. They can incorporate lore that way with it. They can incorporate releases. It keeps the story and everything moving. Yeah, it sucks that there's so many books that can get invalidated pretty quickly. We all hate that. It's something that's been a part of a hobby and a problem for a long time. Having the I just lost all train of thought. But Aaron, bail me out.
Having new books come out.
Oh, having the new books come out. But if you're going to spend a bunch of money on the books, can they at least be accurate and not need a FAQ a month later?
I mean, I guess there's two principles of FAQ, right? First of all, I agree. Any syntax or spelling or grammatical errors that aren't related to changing the function of a rule should not be the impetus for charging for something. You know what
Agreed.
I mean? Like it should not, ineptitude should not be the requirement. Like, okay, so at my normal day job, we have quality requirements, right? And the quality requirements get updated and changed all the time. And the bottom line is, like, I would much rather have books for my coworkers to reference.
Right.
But the quality requirement is that whatever version we have is the most up to date. That we have to have our FAQ with, just like 40K, our quality requirements have FAQs, and those FAQs have to be up to date. And the easiest way to keep all that stuff up to date is, guess what? To never print a single thing and keep it all digital and keep it on the computer and make sure that it's automatically updated every time they update it. So if an auditor comes in and they go, "What version do you have?" you know that you have the correct version, right?
And that's what you do.
And that's what we do. And same thing is true as far as I'm concerned in 40K. The digital version and the app should be the heart of the game. You know what I mean? The books should be a collectible because of all of these inherent issues. You can buy the book if you want it, but if you have a digital copy, then changing non-rule based issues, syntax, grammar, pictures, whatever, just automatically happens and you open it. And they do that, by the way. If you've bought digital editions of the books in the past, they will automatically update them with grammatical and spelling fixes and hyperlink fixes.
They'll upgrade them. They upgraded them with everything. Any change that they made.
Yeah, until the new edition comes out.
Until the new edition came out.
You know what I mean? But
Yep.
Charging for a new edition, like separating the rules out the way that they do in Psychic Awakening, and charging for both the digital version and the non-digital version, and charging for the app, it's starting to.
I'm with you, dude. I think that the
much.
digital version and the paper version should come under the same cost, right? That code or whatever. I don't care how you do it. But the point is, I bought the rules, right? I paid for the thing,
Right.
and I should have the paper book because it's awesome and that's what gets me to read my codexes. But then I should have the digital as my backup that I take to my games that I can easily portable around, all that fun stuff. So
Yeah,
I think
exactly. It's like
there's
when
a
I
problem.
when I buy a specification, right, to read for the processes that we do at work, I don't have to pay for a physical copy and a digital copy. I pay for a digital copy, which I can print, and I can buy a physical copy if I want to extra. But yeah, when you should buy a book, and it should unlock the digital copy, and it should unlock your app. That's it. That's what it should do. Simple.
Yep.
Simple, simple, simple. Simple as Simon, as they say in England. I think.
Just in England, though.
Oh, England.
Well, we've reached our hour and a half. 90 minutes has flown by. Quick
did.
hobby updates. Let's start with Sean. Sean, where are you at?
I got all the brown painted on the shoulders of all my dudes and did a bunch of like little red pieces and stuff. So I mean, I'm just going through and painting shit. I'm not really doing any sort of order assembly line at this point, so it's more entertaining, but it seems to be taking its time. I'm happy.
And Aaron, it looks like you're showing us a model. I will change over. I will give you more of the screen. Give me 1 second. And Aaron, there you go.
So I got a big old mace. He's coming at you. I did choose this helmet that it kind of looks like the Predator with an iron halo, because there is a relic that you can give him to basically gives the Dark Apostle a dark iron halo sort of deal.
That's really
Some
cool.
candles that are on the backpack. There's a little book that's kind of on a chain that's flying behind him as he's running at you. And he's got his mutated possessed arm because this is the possessed Dark Apostle.
That's really awesome, bro.
And then,
Yes, indeed.
obviously, I got this terrain piece to this point. I laid some of the crystals out so you can get an idea of what the final look is going to be. Granted, it's not going to be white and clear. It's going to be purple and blue. But yeah, this is a fun little terrain piece. And just for scale, I guess we can put a Space Marine down on it. So the paths are about 40 millimeters wide, I guess would make sense. And this crystal's about the height of a Primaris.
I have a question for you about terrain. Do we have any time to talk about one last thing?
Sure.
So I was thinking about this earlier, right? I've got a bunch of old Marines on 25 millimeter bases. All the current models come on 32 millimeter bases. My big infantry comes on 40 millimeter bases. My large infantry characters are on 50. Dreadnoughts are on 60. So on and so forth ad nauseum. And I'm thinking about terrain and staircases.
Yep.
What do you do nowadays? Have you conceptualized? Have you thought at all about? Because I have a bunch of terrain builds that I need to do. What do you think about the right size of a stair or an incremental increase in elevation in comparison to our base sizes now? Should I try to make sure that every single spot can fit a 50 or 60 millimeter base, or
No, because then you're
What?
going to have giant like stair steps
No.
going up every building.
My rule of thumb is try to fit a 32 millimeter base. As
enough?
as like just the general. Some of the nice things about the laser cut stuff is that actually when I've been and I learned this from somebody else, I didn't come up with this, but when they design their stairs, they're leaving a little bit more than the height of the base in between each stair. So even if the stair is smaller than the base, you can still fit the full model under it because you have enough room to literally slide the base under
Slide
the
whip in.
preceding fair.
That doesn't really work in most cases if you
I-
have any texture on your base.
I mean, it depends on how much height difference you leave, right? Between. But I'm just saying that is one of the things that I've been doing in some of the laser cut stuff. But in general, I try to make stairs fit. In the past, the standard Space Marine size base, and now the 32 millimeter base is what I try to make stairs fit. have to have my guys touching the base, so you will not charge them. I agree.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us this Sunday evening in 2021. We will see you all next week. We have a whole bunch of great stuff coming up, including more details on the Rangers board game. We're going to be taking a look at everything that the four of us got done in 2020. It will start with the person who did the least and end with the person who did the most. So we should all know who the order of that is by now. With some nice pictures. Aaron, if you wanna give me a 2-minute video to talk about your stuff, that's fine. If not, I will just show pictures of it.
No, considering it took more than 3 hours to pull all the minis out, line them up on a table, and then put them all away, I'm not taking them back out.
No, you don't have to take them out. I'm just saying a voice track in your own words to describe your 2020 hobby.
Ain't had anything better to do. Indoor 24/7, 350 models.
All right, I will pull it out of this feed, and I will just slap it over the video. So we're going to be showing all of our 2020 work. There's a bunch of fun stuff coming up on the channel, including more Marvel Crisis Protocol. Hopefully, we'll be able to get some battle reports in 2021. As always, this has been Lord Sean, Big Aaron, and Lord Aaron coming at you from Cool Guys Nation. Remember, hit that bell button, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, join us on Patreon, join us on our Discord, and until next time, we'll see you on
The table.